Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
It is 9 o'clock on September the 12th, our coffee hour. Um, so I'm going to give it just one more minute for people to get on board and then we'll get started. And just a reminder to mute yourself on your side to cut down on the background noise so that people can hear. Okay, we'll get started. We don't have a very long agenda today, mostly a lot of announcements more than anything. Just a reminder that we have 3 new social media avenues. We're kind of testing out the Instagram and the Facebook. Not sure how effective those are going to be, but the Twitter seems to be the more interesting or the more used medium. So I would encourage you to check that out. The conference is 2 weeks away, and we are in full mode here in the ED's office getting ready for it. It's going to be a really exciting conference, I think. Lots of fun stuff planned, as well as some great speakers. So I hope most of you are going to be able to attend. The online registration did close last Friday, the 6th of September, and so if you still want to come to the conference and you haven't registered yet, you can still register at the conference. The price is higher, but you can still come to the conference, so just be aware of that. And just a reminder that the Wednesday night social event we have scheduled at the Punch Bowl Social, it's called, is free for anyone who is registered for any day of the conference, but if you want to bring a guest, that'll cost you extra, so just be aware to contact the office, our office, in order to arrange for a ticket for your guest. Any questions from anybody about the conference? No? Okay, we'll move on. Just some quick legislative updates. SB 303 has gone to the governor's desk. It's anticipated that he will sign it. It is the bill that puts some parameters around the fees that PAPG-PCs can collect. We did oppose it for a very long time, and then we worked with the author's office and several other partners, such as the Judicial Council, to try to get some amendments to it to try to mitigate the impact to PAPG-PCs. Hopefully those amendments will be sufficient to protect you all from being able to charge your fees. I think time will tell as the reality of the law gets played out in the courts. That's where I think where the rubber is going to meet the road. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. SB 590 has turned into a 2-year bill. This is the legislation that adds quite a bit of changes to the definition for grave disability to include alcoholism. We are opposed to the bill. There are some significant challenges with the bill around providing, if you have to conserve somebody on an LPS under alcoholism, there's really nowhere to place that individual. And so it's a huge problem for behavioral health departments. So that bill has turned into a 2-year bill, which means we have another whole year to continue our advocacy against the bill. So we'll keep you posted on that. SB 40 has also gone to the governor's desk. This is the bill that amended SB 1045 from last year. It sets up some parameters for conserving an individual who has been detained, who has more than 8 5150 holds in a year. That's the criteria for the conservatorship. Again, we oppose that bill. It is anticipated the governor will sign it. I think the good news about this bill, if you're not aware of it, is that it does require behavioral health departments and counties to put in place a whole host of social services for a client who would meet the criteria for this type of conservatorship. So the conservator's office is minimally impacted by the bill. It's mostly behavioral health that will be impacted by it because of the amount of services that they have to provide. The one downside to the bill is that anyone who was conserved under this conservatorship, the conservatorship only lasts for 6 months. So you'd have to certify them after 6 months, which is a tremendous workload. It is anticipated that most people won't qualify for this type of conservatorship. So we're hoping that the impact will be minimal to our members. Again, going to keep a close eye on the reality of how it gets in the communities. The last item under legislation is the LPS audit. For those of you who are unaware, the 3 counties that have been identified for the audit are Los Angeles County PGPC, San Francisco County PGPC, and Shasta County PGPC. So those, all 3 of those counties, the auditors have been to their offices. Well, I don't know about San Francisco. I know for sure LA, and I know for sure Shasta. I'm not sure if San Francisco has actually been visited by the auditors yet. They are doing a very deep dive into the process, going to court, visiting facilities, interviewing not only the public guardian conservators offices, but their partners in the community as well. The report is due out next spring. Any questions about any of the legislative items that I just reviewed? No? Okay, hearing none, we will go to the other announcements. Just let me make a quick note. About a week or 2 ago, our office sent out an email to all the principals in the county, that's the named PAPGPC, or their primary contact, the person that the principal identified in the county as the primary person for us, for our office, the ED's office, to be in communication with on important issues. And the email was about voting for the executive board. Our executive board changes, gets voted in every September at the conference. In the past, you may remember we did it in the business meeting, and it's a little chaotic the way that it's always been done. So we're trying this new system where we're having principals and or their designee vote by email.
Apparently doesn't want me to listen to my
Just
headphones.
be aware of that. And if you are the designee or the principal, please make sure that you vote. Let me know if you didn't get the email, and I'll make sure that it gets sent to you.
I see Jay Shahan on the screen.
So whoever Jay Shahan is, could you mute yourself, please? So the next item up is, I just wanted to give people the information that I got an email from one of our members who was contacted by an organization called Office of Payee Review and Beneficiary Assistance with Disability Rights of California. And their contact, the letter that they got, or the communication that they got, was to inform this county PPC program that they were going to be audited, that a Social Security audit was being done by this organization. Apparently, Social Security has farmed out. They're auditing. Could you please mute yourself on your side, everybody? There's a great deal of feedback, so it makes it hard for people to hear. At any rate, so Social Security apparently has contracted with Disability Rights of California to perform Social Security audits on their behalf. This was news to me, and so I thought it might be news to some of you. Now, I've been out of the field for 3 years, so maybe it's just me that doesn't know about this, but since at least one of our members didn't know, I thought I'd just give you guys all the information that this is a new way that Social Security is doing audits. And again, it's by the Disability Rights of California under the Office of Payee Review and Beneficiary Assistance. So in my coffee hour email, I did put a link in there so that you can go to their website to learn more about them. Any questions about that? Okay. The next item up is just an FYI. One of our members had mentioned to me and some of the other people on the board that they were having a challenge with one of their board of supervisors bidding on property that the PA in this county was selling. One of our other members graciously provided a code section that specifically states that it's illegal for officials and public guardian, conservator, administrator staff to participate in an auction of a PA-PGPC estate and or any other type of selling process. Having said that, the original county who had the problem with their board of supervisors and the county that sent this code section to me both acknowledged that attorneys in counties, both county council and private attorneys, do, have a difference of opinion about this code section. So in the original county that sent in the issue, their board of supervisors does bid on property. Their county council in that county was aware of this code section and advised the board of supervisors that it didn't apply. I humbly object. Not that anybody cares about my personal opinion, but when I read the code section, I thought it was very clear. But just in case, this comes up for you, I just wanted to forward on the code section for everybody's benefit, in case. Any comments, questions about this? Okay.
Charlotte, can I just add one thing? This is Lisa from LA
Yeah,
County.
please.
I would just like to add that you can also, within your program, design a policy or procedure that can address this issue. We have done that in LA County, and so you can be as broad or as specific as your program director allows you to be. And I'm happy to share our procedure at the conference, because we're going to be talking about procedures at the conference.
That'd be great. If you could also send it to me, I'll put it on our resource library for everybody, Lisa. Thank you. Any other questions or comments about this item? Okay. Next item is just an FYI. We have on our website a job posting section that you can either go to if you're interested in a job that might be out there in the PA-PGPC world, or if your county has a vacancy and you want to post on that. It's free for our members. And right now, this week I received a notice from two counties, Calaveras and Nevada County. They each have a deputy public guardian conservator position open. That's just for your benefit. Another FYI I received from one of our members, which I greatly, appreciated, was from, let me see where my note is. So Debbie Hartman is the PA in Santa Cruz County, and she recently had to have some contact with the California Cemetery and Funeral Bureau to help sort out some questions on an abandoned body that they had. And she, in her research and her communication with the Bureau, was able to get a contact, Amber Lenore Weaver, who is willing to, help any PA, PGPC who has any kind of funeral issue, abandoned body issue. We've never really had a specific contact person, at least not to my knowledge, for the entire state. So I put that person's name and contact information in the email for the coffee hour for your benefit in the event that you should have some issue that you'd like to resolve with the cemetery and Funeral Bureau. So it's in there for your, just as an FYI. Any questions? Hearing none, we'll move on to our coffee hour items. The first one up is from San Mateo County Public Guardian Conservator, who unfortunately couldn't be on the call but asked me to pose the question anyway. Lester Ramirez is asking about, they have clients who get IHSS hours, and they'd like to know if any other counties have this issue and how you verify the IHSS hours. Since you're not there, your client is the one who technically is the employer, but if you're a conservator, you're really the one that's managing the employee. How do you verify their hours? Do they submit a timesheet for signature to your office? Do they keep a log? Does your provider call in every time they work? How do you monitor that provider is actually working, is actually doing the hours that basically IHSS is paying them to do? Does anyone have any experience with this? Wow, okay. I know in San Joaquin County, we didn't have any conservatees that had IHSS workers for very long. If they needed a conservator, usually we wound up placing them, or the client was cognitively, like usually it was because we only had a state and not person, and they had the ability to sign the time cards themselves. So it's not an issue that I've really ever had to deal with, and it doesn't sound like anybody else either. If something comes to mind, please email me so I can let Lester know. Then I have somebody chatting in. Hold on a minute. We've got Sutter County. Karen is saying that the PGPC has a log at the conservatee's home that they need to complete every time services are provided. Okay, I will let them know that Sutter County. Thank you very much, Sutter County. Appreciate the input. I'll let Lester know. The next item up is regarding the threshold for PA, basically the no letters cases. Lisa, I'm going to let you kind of articulate this because I think you have a better handle on it than I do.
Thank you. There is a bill, AB 473, which has been chaptered as 122. It is a bill to basically adjust the 13100 sections, the affidavit sections pertaining to personal property. So this bill proposes to increase the limit from 150,000 to what? It's an interesting number, to $166,250. So obviously somebody in the legislature needs to have some personal property that's valued at $166,000, and they want to be able to do it through a personal affidavit. There's also a section under 13200 that's talking to real property in the value, which is 50,000, and they want to raise that to 55,425. And there's also some other sections about the spousal set aside that are in 13500. So as you go through the 13100 series, there's a couple of sections that this bill is addressing. They're really specific. I just wanted to have a conversation about how people felt about this. It's not a huge difference, but there are cases that fall into this category. We don't, as a general rule, support this because what it means is that the affidavits then can take business away from the PAs. So anything over $150,000, they can't just affidavit it away, the asset. So they need to go, we need to go through an administration process. So that's why we would not necessarily support the increase. I don't know how other people feel about it. Going from 50,000 to 55,000 in real property would not really affect us here in Southern California because we don't typically have properties that fall in that category. So I wouldn't necessarily touch that. But if anybody was interested in these threshold amounts, or any other counties were interested, or the association as a whole interested in adjusting these threshold amounts, this is a bill that, you know, although it's pretty far along, this is a bill that we should probably at least know about, monitor it, and if we wanted to address it, this is how we address it, it's through this process. So I wanted to raise it to the association so that everybody knew. I don't think the amounts are significant. I mean, we're not going for 150 to 350,000, but it's still enough that, and I know in LA, there would be cases falling into that. So LA, I know we said in there to raise the threshold. We don't want to raise the threshold of the affidavit. We don't want to do that because we feel it takes business away from our program. Anybody else have thoughts on that?
Let me just ask a clarifying question, Lisa. It was AB what?
AB 473. And I'm told, I didn't look it up on StateNet, but I'm told that it's been chaptered as 122.
So if it's been chaptered, that means it's been signed by the governor.
Right.
Yeah. So are you asking your colleagues if I'm a little, since it's been signed by the governor and it's in law now, what is it that you're asking the other members for? I'm not clear on that.
Okay. First of all, it's an FYI. It's an
Okay.
FYI that it's changed. Secondly, if you're interested in these types of issues relating to the threshold amounts, since this one got through like with no opposition, no discussion. I mean, I get that it's really small, but it got through pretty much off the radar, that if you're interested in doing something relating to the threshold amounts in the statute, then we should follow how they did this one, or maybe even address this author, or somehow piggyback on what was done on this to get what we want done in the future. That's what I mean.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes more sense. Thank you.
By the way, in this bill, they did not touch the 50,000 in 7660A2. They were just focused on the 13,100.
For 13,100. Okay. Well, if nothing else, it's a lesson for us that I'm not quite sure why it wasn't on our radar. So that's a red flag for me in my office. It's like, how did that not, like, I'd never heard of this from any of our PAs. I didn't hear of it from our legislative analysts. So that's a red flag for us to make sure that we're looking for those kinds of bills as well. When did you hear about this bill, Lisa? Was it recent?
A month ago.
Okay.
So it was after the fact.
Yeah, okay.
The 13,100s just weren't on my radar. And that could be a problem too, is that maybe that's an area we need to just monitor.
Right, and there's a system where you put in a bunch of words, and you get alerts from the legislature based on the words that you've put in, and we'll put in 13,100 because apparently nobody was aware of that.
That's how I missed it.
Yeah. And Melanie Rodriguez from Tehama County says, Lisa, I'm very interested in being included on this. Further discussion is most definitely needed. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. Can be a great topic at the conference on the workshop, the PA workshop, Lisa, as well. So just putting a bug in your ear about that. Okay, anything else? Any other questions about this one? No? Okay. The final item that I received for the agenda for this morning is from Brett Rhodes out of Marin County, PA. Brett, are you on the call this morning?
Yeah.
So Brett originally had proposed to the legislative committee for the association. We have a very large ledge committee, and that they make recommendations and it goes to the board about doing some kind of legislation around or contact with the IRS and the Franchise Tax Board to develop some kind of a relationship to problem solve issues with them. Because our resources are extremely limited in the ED's office and with the board elected at this time to focus on getting funding for PAPGPCs. And so, and other counties had relationships with the IRS and the Franchise Tax Board that they felt were working. So I put this on the agenda in order for other counties to be able to share with Brett and each other what works in your relationship with the IRS and the Franchise Tax Board. So I just throw it out there. Brett, is there anything more to that you'd like to add before we open it up?
No, I mean, this is just a, merry-go-round problem with all the counties. Not as bad with Franchise Tax Board. I think there's a lot more connection just because, their state, there's some bureaucracy there, but predominantly with IRS, when you're sending out, change of address, request for prompt assessment, a transcript request, and you're sending them to all these different locations, and it's triggering these fraud alerts, and then it just like locks down everything. So then everyone has to try to, oh, I got to hook into this office here, and they get me this here. Well, that's great, and it's functional for that particular county. But this is just a statewide problem for all the counties. I mean, you may have a hook in your county, but it's a workaround. It's patchwork. So, really, my request to the Ledge Committee was to try to have the association, which, has some clout, to write, one of our local congressmen that sits on the Ways and Means Committee that, puppets the IRS, and to be able to influence them to say, hey, listen, you can establish one or two people that is an estate unit that we can send all of these documents to from the 58 counties to process all of them without all these fraud alerts going on, because it's just paper shuffling back and forth. So, I mean, I'm open to listening to everyone in the conference, but, I think it's going to be much of the same that we've had in the past is, well, in my county, we're able to do this. Okay, but I mean, it's not a problem solver for everyone.
Any input from anybody else? What works for you?
This is Lisa again from LA County. Brett, we just haven't had this issue in LA.
The what?
We have not had this issue in LA.
Yeah.
We have a contact person. We get the transcripts. We get the letters from the IRS. We deal with an estate department directly with both FTB and the IRS. We just have not had any problems getting information from them or getting information to them.
Okay, and I mean, because this has been on the coffee call in the past, and it's been discussed at conference call or at conferences in the past. I think either at Palm Springs or before in Sacramento, but and I'm not sure. I mean, if there's a designated estate unit, and I think I've dealt with that unit in the past, but they don't process, my understanding, all of the paperwork. You don't have like a point of contact with IRS estate units that says, send us your letters of authority or your letters of administration and all the paperwork. You don't need to send it to where the last taxpayer filed their taxes over here to Ogden for, prompt assessment. You're sending paper all over the place. So if you're having a different experience and have a direct point of contact for an estate unit that you're sending everything to, and you're getting that there without these Ravis forms or anything getting kicked back or these fraud alerts, then it would be great to have that information. I'm not sure if anyone else is experiencing this, but it's been a discussion item in the past.
Is anyone else having this problem?
Well, it's been on the coffee hour in the past, so
Maybe the people that were on it before are not on today, although
Yeah,
we have
I
47.
don't know.
Yeah.
And I can understand if a form's not being filled out completely and that's being submitted, but when our tax preparers are even filling out the forms accurately, enrolled CPAs, and what's triggering it is not inaccurate completion of the forms. It's these forms going out to 3 different parts of the IRS, and they're going, oh my God, we're getting a request for change of address, we're getting a request for transcript over here, and then all of a sudden something in the system triggers this fraud thing. So where's this estate unit, Lisa?
I'll have to talk to my staff. I don't remember what the contact information was. So
Okay.
I'll have to, what I can do is get some information. I think maybe we should talk offline so I can tell you, because what you're describing is not anything I've heard from my staff. But I want to make sure I give you some good information. So I will be happy to set up a time where we can talk about it.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Brett. That's all the items I received for the coffee hour. Does anyone have a question or something that they want to ask that they didn't send in? Okay, hearing none, that's the end of, oh, wait a minute. San Benito County, does anyone use a bank that has a streamlined process in setting up conservator accounts so that the account is under the conservatee's name, social security number, and the signers can use the county ID rather than the employee's social security number? If anyone has a bank they use that set up accounts online rather than at a local branch, we would like the contact information. So does anybody use a bank that they find? My experience is that small local banks are better for this than the big nationwide banks like Wells Fargo and B of A. The other thing is that I have sent out numerous times and am more than willing, Casey is who sent this in, to send you letters, sample letters that we have on our resource library online that basically notify the banks it's illegal for them to require the employee's social security number or personal information. So if you need that, please let me know and I will send that to you directly. Having said that, does anybody have a good experience with a bank that allows them to set up the account this way? Okay, hearing none. I will send Casey I'll send the letter to you, the samples that we have that basically quote code sections that tell the bank they can't require the employee's social security information or any of your driver's license information, any of your personal information. Trinity County gets a copy. Oh yes, Trinity County, I will send you a copy as well. If anybody else wants a copy, it's on our website, but I know that it can be a challenge to find it. I know that because I have a challenge finding it. Having said that, we are going to be in the new year doing a monthly, we're going to do a training session every month that you can join that shows you how to navigate our system, so that if you forget, you can join that on a monthly basis. So Tulare County, let me, hold on a second. Sonoma County wants a copy of this as well, but I don't know who in Sonoma County. So if you would, please let me know. And then McClary raised a hand. I don't know how to find out what your hand says. Hold on a minute. Huh. Just one second, everybody. So what I have here is Sonoma County, Desiree from Mariposa County wants one. I'll tell you what, everybody that wants one, just send me an email at shughes, that's SHUGHES at capapgpc.org. Everyone on the call who wants a copy of those letters for the banks, send me an email and I will respond to your email. That way I don't have to write down everybody's name and take up everybody's time. Any other questions today about the bank or another topic that you would like input from your colleagues about? Okay, hearing none. That's it for our coffee hour. I hope to see everybody at the conference in 2 weeks. And if not, then our next coffee hour is Thursday, October the 10th. So I'll see you all then. Have a great month, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.